Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. So, recently I asked you guys if you would be interested in seeing a Q&A, and surprisingly a lot of you were. I didn't expect anybody to really care except maybe like a few people, the people that said they would like to see it, so I want to thank you guys so much, and I'm going to go ahead and answer your questions right now. But before I get into answering these questions, I just want to say I'm not going to read anybody's YouTube handles out loud because I don't want to butcher them, and I just want to keep it fair for everyone, so I will flash your questions on screen. And for those of you that asked the same questions as other people, I will also just flash those questions on screen as well. So, alright, first question. What got you into Skullgirls? And another question that pretty much follows along the same vein. What got you into Skullgirls? How did you find out about it? What drew you into the game? Love your videos. Thank you. Okay. So, pretty much, I first learned about Skullgirls through a YouTube channel. Okay, so back in the day, I used to be really into voice actors, as in, like, that sounds weird, but I used to be a big fan of voice actors. I liked to seek them out, see what roles they had. Like, whenever I would hear a certain voice actor in a thing, I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's that person. I don't know, I just used to be really into that scene. And one voice actor in particular who has a YouTube channel that I was subscribed to, Christina V, she plays Sarabella in Skullgirls, so I sort of found out about Skullgirls through her, I guess. Although I think I may have seen Skullgirls being advertised somewhere else before, I just know that the reason I really started looking into it was voice actor related. And why I started playing it, I honestly couldn't tell you. I like fighting games, even though I'm bad at them, and I really like 2D fighting games, so maybe that's why I started playing, but I think it more had to do with the whole voice actors thing. Okay, for the next question, there are actually multiple questions in this comment, so I'm just gonna go down the list one by one. I tried recording this at one point in time, and I think I went way too in-depth with some of my answers, so I'm just going to keep it brief, or at least try to keep it brief as best as I can. But let's go ahead and start with the first one. What's your favorite genre of music, and who is your favorite musician? Okay, so my favorite genre of music, I don't know if I have a favorite genre, to be honest. I think I'd say pop music, just because I feel like that's what I listen to more than anything. But when it comes to songs and stuff, typically I don't seek out music, I guess. If I hear something I like, I will probably listen to it again. But other than that, I don't really go out of my way to find new music. I used to do that when I was a little bit more into something like K-pop, but a lot of the times I'll mainly just look at music that gets recommended to me through YouTube channels or something. So like there's this person I'm subscribed to, she really likes she listens to music and sometimes she talks about it on her channel. So if she says something like, oh my gosh, this song is so good, this album is so good, then I'll probably check it out. But yeah, other than that, I really don't have a favorite musician or anything. But yeah, I like pop, I like K-pop, I kinda like J-pop. J-pop is like hit or miss for me, but I think I like it for the most part. But anyways. Okay, next question. What are your anime, manga, and cartoon recommendations? Okay, so I came prepared with a list. I'm not even gonna bother explaining what any of these shows or anything are about, because I feel like that's just going to take way too long, and then I'll just be here forever. So I'm just going to go down the list. If you're curious about them, let me know in the comments or something, and I'll try to answer them there. Or you can just look them up yourself. Okay, first anime, Madoka Magica. Second, Hunter x Hunter, Yu Yu Hakusho. I don't know why I said second, and then I just started listing. Chihaya Fudu. Okay, this one I'm actually going to talk about. Chihaya Fudu, I feel like, I don't know if it's underrated, but it is so good. The only thing about Chihaya Fudu... Actually, you know what? I lied. I am going to go into depth in some of these. Okay, before I get into this, when it comes to Hunter x Hunter, the anime does not cover all of the manga. I feel like it kind of ends on a cliffhanger, but not really. So just keep that in mind when watching it. Yu Yu Hakusho covers all of the manga, I'm pretty sure. Chihaya Fudu also doesn't cover all of the manga. All these anime that I'm about to list are manga adaptations except for one of them. But Chihaya Fudu does not cover all of the manga. What it does do though is it ends on a huge cliffhanger, and there has been no news of a season 4, but it's still really good and I highly recommend it. Okay, Land of the Lustrous, that's another anime that doesn't fully finish the manga. Land of the Lustrous is in a worse situation than Chihaya Fudu because it covers like so little of the manga, but it's still really good. Okay, now from the New Worlds, this is another recommendation. This one doesn't... Okay, it's based off of a novel, so therefore it just covers all the material of that novel. So there you go. And finally, Demon Slayer. This one I think is probably one of the most popular... It's probably the most popular show on list that I just made, but I still recommend it, and I think it's really good. Okay, now for manga. So when it comes to manga, there are very few manga that I have read to completion, and there's even less manga that I've read from start to finish. So for the most part, a lot of these recommendations are going to be manga that I haven't actually finished yet, and they're only going to be manga that I've actually started and read a decent amount. So we're going to start with Hunter x Hunter. Obviously, I love Hunter x Hunter. It's one of my favorite shows. The manga's really long, but it just recently got off of a hiatus, so there you go. And next, Akane Banashi. Okay, so actually the next few things I'm going to list are going to be from the Shonen Jump app. So if you have the Shonen Jump app, you can read the latest 3 chapters of Shonen Jump manga for free. But if you want to read the whole thing, you do have to pay a subscription fee, but I don't think it's expensive. I think it's like, I don't want to say what it is because I feel like I could be wrong, but I think it's around $5 or something like that. It might be a little bit more expensive. Either way, the manga that I've been reading on the Shonen Jump app, I really enjoy. Akane Banashi is definitely one of them. Next is Ichi the Witch. That one's really new, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm also reading Shinobi Undercover, I believe that's what it's called. That one is pretty funny. I actually really like that one too. I just kind of like the vibes of it overall. I'm also reading One Piece, but like, what do I even have to say about One Piece? By the way, you guys, don't ask me questions about One Piece if you are like a really big fan of One Piece, because I started when they were like on the tail end of the Wano arc, but before that I hadn't read any of the manga, so I don't know what's happening most of the time. I'm also reading Rudy Dragon. See, this is hard for me to pronounce because, like, how do you say Ruby Dragon? Just sounds awkward, so I feel like I have to try to pronounce it like how you would actually pronounce it in Japanese, but I don't know. But anyways, that is another manga that I'm really enjoying, and it is also on the Shonen Jump app, and I think it's getting a physical release soon. I know I saw somewhere, I think I want to say it was on Barnes & Noble, that they're having a pre-order for the physical copy of Volume 1. I definitely want to get my hands on that. Okay, other manga recommendations. Land of the Lustrous. This one is finished, although the final volume hasn't been officially translated yet, as far as I know. I have read this manga from start to finish. I own all of the volumes. The only thing about it is, like I just said, the last volume hasn't actually been translated yet and released into a physical book, I guess you could say. So if you want to read it, you have to read it online, I guess, like a fan translation. That's what I did. And it was really awkward, by the way, because the fan translation that I read it's hard to explain. It's not hard to explain, but I don't want to explain it. If you guys have read Land of the Lustrous, the official translation, you'll understand what I mean. But that's another recommendation I have. And actually, that's it for that list of manga. Okay, now for cartoon recommendations. And this is actually where I went off the rails in my last video, in the recording that you guys aren't going to see, because I just went on this weird rant about cartoons. So I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to get into it. Okay, so I made 2 separate lists, story-driven cartoons and episodic cartoons. If you prefer not even if you prefer, if you just only really like story-driven cartoons, then I would recommend these. But if you just like cartoons in general and like episodic stuff, then I'd recommend this other list. So let's start with the story-driven ones. Okay, Steven Universe. The thing about Steven Universe, though, is that the first season is almost entirely episodic, and it also just in general has a totally different vibe from the rest of the show, especially the first half of the show. But I love season 1, so yeah. Next is Avatar: The Last Airbender. I feel like this show is super popular, so there's not really much to be said about it, but definitely a great show. Next is The Owl House. The Owl House starts off decent. I feel like it starts off good, but it just gets better over time, so I definitely recommend that one. Season 2, I feel like, is the best season of The Owl House, to be honest. Next is Amphibia. Okay, so this one's kind of a weird recommendation for this list, at least, because Amphibia, I feel like, is half episodic cartoon, half story-driven cartoon. There is a plot, and it does get into the plot more the further you get into the show, but for the most part, especially the first season, is like entirely episodic. But either way, I highly recommend Amphibia. I didn't really like the last season all that much, but the first season is so good. It's like my comfort show. I love Amphibia. Okay, next is Adventure Time. This one is another weird one for this list because it's like mostly episodic, but I guess there's kind of a plot. Either way, I highly recommend Adventure Time. Okay, for episodic cartoons, I recommend Phineas and Ferb. This is a great show. It's very funny and gets funnier as it goes on, to be honest. It's also supposed to get a new season. I'm curious to see how that turns out, but I will definitely be checking it out. Bob's Burgers. This one's an adult cartoon, but it's still a cartoon, so that's why it's on this list. I love Bob's Burgers. It's another comfort show for me. So is Phineas and Ferb, to be honest. Okay, next is My Life as a Teenage Robot. I'm not really sure where you can watch this show, to be honest. I want to say Paramount Plus, but I could be wrong. This show is so good. It's not old, but it's been around for a while. Well, it ended a while ago, I should say. Like, I want to say like at least over 10 years ago. But this show is really funny, and I think it has aged well. It's been a while since I last watched it. Next is Ed, Edd n Eddy. That is another hilarious show. The Amazing World of Gumball, regular show, and finally Craig of the Creek. I feel like Craig of the Creek is probably the weirdest one on this list because there kind of is also sort of a plot in Craig of the Creek. Well, okay, there's not a plot in Craig of the Creek, but Craig of the Creek is one of those shows that I feel like does a lot of callbacks to earlier episodes and to earlier characters and stuff. So I feel like if you just kind of catch a random episode, you might not know everything there is to know about that character. Basically what I'm saying is Craig of the Creek is good, and I feel like you should, if you're going to watch it, maybe start from the beginning. But I also think it gets better with time, so there you go. Okay, next question. What's the story behind your username? Okay, so when it comes to my username, the very first username I ever had on YouTube, I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want you guys to find that YouTube channel since it's still up, but I made that username and I didn't really think much of it until one day I went into a Ustream. If you guys don't know what Ustream is, it is a live streaming service that no longer exists. I think it got turned into something else. Either that or it just died. I don't remember, but either way, it's gone. But anyways, I went into a Ustream, specifically a Smash Brothers stream because people were playing it. Smash Brothers Brawl, that is. And someone read my username out loud in the stream because it was like a stream of friends. So anyways, they said my name out loud, but they said it wrong. And I was like, oh, what the heck? And that's when I realized my name could be read in 2 different ways, possibly even more ways than that. So when that happened, I was kind of like, what the heck? I felt weird about my username after that. So when I decided to make my new username, CookieCake01, I wanted to make sure that it was easy to read, one, so that way if I ever decided to comment on like a Twitch channel or something or a streaming channel and someone read my name out loud, they'd actually get it right. And 2, I wanted it to be able to be read in only one way. So obviously Cookie Cake, there's not really much else you can do with that. Like you could pronounce it differently if you wanted to, but you're still reading it the same, you know? So that's pretty much the story behind my username. Also, I picked Cookie and Cake because I like cookies and I like cake. I just wanted to have something dessert related. I think if I had to redo my YouTube channel name, I would probably have something to do with, or I would make sure it has something to do with like donuts or something because I really like donuts. But yeah, that is a story behind my name. I don't know exactly why I picked Cookie and Cake. I know I just said because I like cookies and cake and I like desserts and stuff, but I mean, I don't know if that's the exact reason I did it. Either way, that's my name. Okay, last part of the question. I recently bought the Nintendo Switch. What game should I play on it? Okay, this one is pretty tough. Okay, so here are my recommendations. If you like multiplayer games, then I recommend Mario Kart 8 for sure, and Super Mario Party Jamboree. I just got that recently, but I really like that game. It's actually a lot of fun. If you're into RPGs, I highly recommend Fire Emblem Three Houses. That is a tactical RPG game, but it is a lot of fun. Dragon Quest XI, that's another super fun game. It's not only on the Switch. The other games I listed were Switch exclusives, but Dragon Quest XI is still really good. Miitopia is another Miitopia is kind of, I don't want to say it's an acquired taste, but it's kind of weird. I think that game's really fun though, and I highly recommend checking it out. Well, okay, no, I kind of half recommend checking it out. I would try the demo first before getting it. Okay, next we have Mario and Rabbids. So I played both the Mario Rabbids games. Both of them are really fun, so this is another one that I highly recommend, and they're pretty cheap. They usually go on sale pretty often, if they're not just constantly on sale. That's another tactical RPG, by the way. Valkyria Chronicles is another tactical RPG. It has a really unique gameplay and is a lot of fun. Next is Octopath Traveler. This is a turn-based RPG game, which is really fun. The only thing I don't like about Octopath Traveler is that the characters don't ever interact, which sounds really weird, but it's the truth. Although I think they changed this in the sequel. I haven't actually played the sequel yet, but still, I do recommend Octopath Traveler. And finally, my last RPG I recommend is Chrono Cross. Chrono Cross is kind of Okay, this is another weird recommendation, and I don't even know if you necessarily should get it, but I love Chrono Cross, so that's the reason it's on here. It's a turn-based RPG game. If you're interested in it, check it out. Okay, for roguelikes, I recommend, this is kind of random, but I play a lot of roguelikes, so I recommend Dicey Dungeon, and I recommend Rogue Legacy 1 and 2. These are not the only roguelikes I've played, but these are the only ones that I played on the Switch. Well, that's a lie, but whatever. Anyways, and finally, this is just like random games that I've played before. I recommend Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. That game is really fun and really cute. And if you like Kirby games, you would definitely like that one. I also recommend 13th Sentinels Aegis Rim. Okay, I feel bad for putting this on this list because I've only played this on the PS4, so I don't know how it runs on the Switch. But assuming it runs decently on the Switch, then it is a really fun game. It's mainly a visual novel, and those are honestly the best parts of the game, but it has such a good story. I definitely recommend it. Okay, I also recommend Animal Crossing, and this one's kind of random, but Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team Deluxe. I just put that on here just because I was trying to think of games to recommend. If you guys, or if you've played any of the, I said you guys, if you have played any of the Mystery Dungeon games, well then, I feel like you know what to expect with that, and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games are some of the most popular, so there you go. Those are my recommendations. Okay, next question. Are you excited for the assist characters that are coming, like Brain Drain and Minette, and how do you think they'll work? Okay, one, I am excited because it is adding a new mechanic to this game, and we don't really get a lot of new mechanics other than new characters and new buffs and debuffs, so it'll be interesting to see how this like shakes things up. Well, maybe. I'll get into this more in the second part of the question, but I'm also not really excited because I feel like a character becoming an assist character kind of guarantees that they're probably not going to be playable. Okay, that didn't make any sense. I feel like it guarantees that they're not going to become playable, but obviously I could be wrong. So that's one reason I wouldn't be excited. Now, with the characters that they are making assist characters, so we have Minette, Brain Drain, and then Roxy, I believe. I don't really care about any of them becoming playable characters, to be honest, so I don't care all that much. But it is kind of cool, I guess, if they were never going to become playable in the first place, which, I mean, I don't know, maybe they were, who knows. I've kind of wondered why they chose these three of all people. Minette made the most sense to me, but Brain Drain and Roxy are kind of random to me. Well, I guess, actually, to me, Roxy is the most random, just because, like, Minette I know was super popular, and Brain Drain, I don't know if he's popular or not, but, I mean, he just kind of seems like an assist character type of person anyway. Whatever, anyways. So, I say all that to say, I don't necessarily have any issues with them becoming guest characters, and I feel like if they were never going to become playable anyway, at least this gives them a chance to shine. Okay, that was long-winded, like always. Okay, so for the next part of the question, how do you think they'll work? Originally, I was thinking it would be like a button on the side of the screen, kind of like how Peacock, Painwheel, and Umbrella have special buttons that let them do special attacks. But now that I think about it, I'm honestly thinking it's going to be more like a move type thing, where instead of equipping a move, you would equip an assist or something, and maybe it acts like a blockbuster where you have to fill up the meter as you fight, and then you can use it. That's how I'm thinking they're going to work. I don't know how they're going to be distributed, though. I assume, like, if it is, like, a move, maybe they're going to have their own type of relic or something. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, next question. What characters/variants do you find the most fun to play with? Maybe it's the way you do their combos, or their gimmicks are fun to mess around with. Okay, I'm going to get into specific variants in a second, but when it comes to variants and characters and stuff, I prefer using the ones whose signature abilities activate naturally. So, like, when I say that, I mean characters whose abilities you don't have to think too much about to activate, or you don't have to fulfill a certain requirement to use it. So, somebody like Starshine, whose ability activates as soon as she's just on the field, you just have to wait a certain amount of time before it kicks in, but during that time you could just fight normally and you don't really have to think about it. And somebody else like let's say, I guess Class Cutter, since her ability activates when she does a certain amount of damage. So people like that, pretty much. Characters that I don't really like to play as are the ones whose abilities activate when you have to do something specific. So like Eager Deceiver, I don't like playing as her because in order to get her signature ability to activate, you have to have a well-timed block. I think that's kind of annoying. So yeah. Now when it comes to specific variants that I like to play, I like Moonstruck. I feel like I never play as her on this channel, but I used to play as her a lot. I love her infinite star power. That is so much fun. Final Thing is another fun one. I love to inflict lots of different debuffs on the enemy. Nonsense for the same reason, although I'm still getting used to her. Class Cutter, like I just said, I like using her, but on top of her ability that just kind of activates like naturally on its own or whatever, I also like that she can potentially get guard break on the enemy. Not inflict guard break, but she can just break the enemy's guard. That is so much fun to mess around with, even when it doesn't always work. I also love using Psykid because of the whole buff debuff reset thing. And another variant that I like is Windswept because of her permanent precision and evasion. That's a lot of fun to mess around with. Plus, I like having Leech on Philia as a Marquee ability. I don't have that on Class Cutter, but a part of me kind of wants to, although I think the permanent bleed works better for her. And okay, this is the last variant that I wrote down, Mean One, just because she can turn enemy debuffs into, other way around. She can turn enemy buffs into debuffs. That is so much fun. Okay, next question. What is your fave character and love your content? Thank you so much. Okay, so my favorite character is Annie, and my favorite variant in the game is Starshine Annie. I'm going to get into why Annie is my favorite character more than anything, because I feel like I talk about Starshine all the time, and I'm probably going to just make a whole video about Starshine in the future anyway. But anyways, okay, so Annie is my favorite character, mainly because it has more to do with her lore more than anything, but I think her design is cute. I like that she has like a magical girl element with all of the space stuff. I like Sagan. I like that it has a weird eyeball. I don't know, I said weird. It has Annie's eyeball in its mouth. And I just like Annie. She's so cool. So when it comes to her story and just her lore, I guess, if you want to call it that, which I guess you would call it that, it just feels weird to say that. Whatever. Anyways, when it comes to her story in the Skullgirls universe, she has a certain trope that I'm gonna have to explain myself here because this trope intersects with another trope that's like problematic sometimes. Okay, I'll start by talking about the trope that I like. Okay, so she falls into that trope. I don't know what it's called exactly, but that character that's older than everybody else in the cast. I mean, I know Annie's not technically older than everybody. She's older than most of the characters, but Eliza's older than her for sure. I think all the parasites are older than her. Well, all the organic parasites, I guess, because there are artificial ones in this game too. But I don't think those have personalities. And I'm trying to think. Who else? Okay, I'm pretty sure not Nonsense. I'm pretty sure Double is older than her, but does anybody even know what Double's deal is yet? Like, I'm still curious about her. Or them, or whatever. You know what? What are Double's pronouns? Now that I think about it. Because Double is a shape-shifting monster. Whatever. Okay, whatever. The point is, I like that trope just because I feel like those characters always have the most interesting relationships with other characters. They lived in a time that was different from the current time. So in Annie's case, like, she was back way before any of this other stuff was going on, but Skullgirls were still a thing. And also the fact that she's been fighting Skullgirls for so many years. I feel like Annie has such an interesting background, and that's one reason that I think she is super cool. Okay. On top of that, also her personality. I really liked her in Beowulf's story. I know in her story mode, she's kind of a jerk, I think. Honestly, it's been a while since I last played it, but whatever. I think Annie is awesome. Okay, so I said earlier that there's a trope that the whole, like, older than everybody in the cast thing intersects with. It intersects with the 1,000-year-old child trope. I think if you guys have ever watched anime or read any manga or stuff, or anything like that, there's this trope where sometimes they make this child character like 1,000,000 years old. I think that's fine. I don't care about that. The only time it really is just like why is when that character they're designed in such a creepy way. So, okay, think Fire Emblem Awakening, Noe. She has this like really uncomfortable outfit that I don't think anybody likes. I don't like it, that's for sure. I think it's creepy and weird, and it's like, why would you give her this? But also in that game, another thing that makes it weird is that she can have children. Like, in Fire Emblem Awakening, characters can have kids with each other. I'm not going to get into all the details with that because that's a spoiler, but it's just weird. It's just a weird thing because a lot of the characters in that cast are adults and she looks like a child. Blah. So I don't like that trope, although it does intersect with the whole like older than everybody in the cast trope. So when it's not creepy, it's fine, but when it's like weird, it's uncomfortable. And technically, I guess Annie just falls into that trope too because she's a child. I mean, she's not a child, but her mom made the wish for her to be young forever or something. So now she just is permanently a kid. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Okay. If you choose any diamond, I don't know why I keep saying okay. I might cut that out. We'll see. If you choose any diamond variants that you don't have, who would you choose? Okay, I had to make a list for this because there are actually quite a lot of diamonds that I don't have, Well, not even just diamonds, but variants that I don't have that I would love to have at this point. So let's go down the list. Dealbreaker Peacock, definitely. I feel like she's like Mean One, except a diamond form of her. Timeless Hero Annie. I don't even know what she can do, but she's an Annie that I don't have. Materia Girl Annie, I know what she can do, and she's also an Annie that I don't have. Seraph Soldier Valentine, I think she'd be fun for some of my fire variants. Beast King Beowulf, Brass Bandit Big Band, Alter Ego Double, Blue Streak Philia, Martial Outlaw Black Dahlia, and Locked In Parasol. Although Locked In Parasol isn't even available as a variant yet, so I don't know why I put her on here, but I guess I just wanted to tell you guys that I wanted to get her. Which variant? Okay. All right, next question. I feel like I have to say okay or all right at the start. I don't know why. Which variants would you build critless? Okay, I don't have any critless build characters at all, but I've been told that Eliza is the one that you want to build critless because her marquee ability is bad. So I would say Eliza, and I can't really speak on anybody else because I don't think I would ever make anybody critless if I had the choice, which I will always have the choice, so I don't know why I said that, but yeah, I would go with Eliza. Okay, what is your least favorite fight modifier and variant of every character? Also, congrats on getting Death Wish, thank you so much. And what are your favorite and least favorite variants? Okay, so these go hand in hand for the most part, well, except for the modifier thing. Okay, so let us start with, oh, I didn't even write this down. Okay, my least favorite modifiers in this game are the ones, Exquisite Corpse for sure. If you don't know, Exquisite Corpse makes it so when the enemy is near a dead body and you block a hit. Wait, no. What am I talking? That's a different one. Okay, start over. Exquisite Corpse is when you hit the enemy when they're near a dead body. They gain 1 stack of thorns per hit while near that dead body. That is really annoying. But the thing that makes that even more annoying is the second part of it, which makes it so when they use a level 3 blockbuster, they revive everybody in their team. That sucks. And it's so bad in Parallel Realms specifically, because if you play Parallel Realms and let's say you beat a node, I don't even know if this is a thing in the other, I don't know if this modifier is a thing in the other difficulties, but in No Mercy, if you defeat the enemy, let's say you're on the final node, because that's where this modifier pops up, the very last node of No Mercy. Okay, so you're up against 3 fighters. You take out 2 of those fighters, but you don't finish off the last one. Now, you lose the fight, but because of the way Parallel Realms works, those 2 characters that you defeated are dead. They are not, like, that other character is the only one you have to deal with. So you go back into the fight with new characters, and that final character, you're beating them down, and you're about to beat them, and then all of a sudden, they have an opportunity to use their level 3 blockbuster, and then they use it, and guess what? Their teammates come back to life. Even though they started off that match dead, they could still be revived. And that is why I hate that modifier. All right, the next part of the question, what are your favorite and least favorite variants? Okay, I'm going to start with my favorite variants, but with my least favorite variants, well, I'll get into it. Let's start with my favorite. Okay, Mean One Peacock. Wait. Oh, I was like, why did I put Mean One first? I just scrolled down too far. Okay, Starshine Annie is obviously my favorite. Class Cutter and Windswept Philia are both really awesome. Mean One Peacock, Dark Horse Marie, Final Thing Valentine and Surgeon General Valentine, Psykid Umbrella and Rose Tinted Umbrella, and Vaporwave Vixen and Apex Complex Fukua. Okay, the only one on here that I'm going to explain is Vaporwave Vixen. The reason she's one of my favorite Fukuas is because I love to use her to auto. So whenever I'm like doing a prize fight or something where I have to start from the beginning, I like to just use Vaporwave Vixen to do some of the work for me. And she usually does pretty well, and it's kind of fun to watch her just, you know, take out the enemy with miasma and thorns. Okay, on to my least favorite variants. So the way that I did this was I pretty much just made I put one variant that I hated for every character. So there's only going to be one variant per character, and I'm just going to start in alphabetical order. Okay, so my least favorite variants: Model Leader Annie, Beast King Beowulf, Dream Band Big Band, Corrosive Agent Black Dahlia, Armed Forces Sarabella, Evergreen Evil Double, Standout Eliza, Girl Scout Philia, Splitting Image Fukua, Megalomaniac Marie, Windstalker Misfortune, every pain wheel, I didn't even put a specific pain wheel, every single pain wheel, Regally Blonde Parasol, Untouchable Peacock, Re-Imaged Robo Fortune, Plot Twisted Squiggly, Death Wish Umbrella, Assassin's Creed Valentine. Okay, oh, I did write down my least favorite modifier. Whatever, I already explained it. Okay, so I'm not going to explain any of those variants, but every single one of those I listed with the exception of like 2 of them that I guess I'll talk about really quick, I have had a lot of trouble with, or have just had I've just had some problems dealing with them, some of them more than others. Okay, so for the variants that I'm going to explain really quick, Standout Eliza, I don't think I have issues with any Eliza, but Standout personally has annoyed me because she's prevented Starshine from getting her permanent precision in the past, and therefore she's on this list because that annoyed me. But for the most part, she doesn't really do much to me. And the every pain wheel thing, I just put that on here. There's no specific pain wheel that gives me trouble anymore. I used to have some issues with biting cold, but ever since I started using Final Fang against pain wheel, Final Fang kind of is a really good counter against biting cold, because biting cold, she needs to get her barrier and thorns for her to be super effective. That was a weird way to say that. But whenever she gets either barrier or thorns, she doesn't get the other because she gets hit with curse immediately. So therefore, she doesn't really bother me anymore. In fact, when it comes to pain wheel, the only issue I have with her is stupid tainted blood. Next question. Which characters do you think are overrated and underrated? Hope you're doing well. Thank you. I hope you're doing well too. And all of you, honestly. Okay, so I can't really answer this question because I don't know what the opinion is in general when it comes to Skullgirls mobile. Okay, I phrased that so weird. I'm not tapped into the Skullgirls mobile community, so I don't know how people feel about characters in general, like any variants or anything. And I'm probably going to keep it that way, by the way, because I kind of don't want anybody's opinions to influence my own. I played other mobile games where I have like tried to see what people were saying about certain characters and stuff, and I feel like that just ends up making me want to use specific characters rather than other characters. And sometimes that's a good thing because it's like, I need strategies on how to beat this, but I'm doing just fine, so I don't think I need to do that. But anyways, I said all of that to say, because I don't know what people's opinions are on characters and stuff, I can't really say whether or not something is overrated or underrated, because those terms mean that I would have to know how people feel about things. So I'm just gonna say Starshine is underrated, and I'm not going to say who's overrated because that's going to sound negative and I don't want to make you guys mad. Okay, next question. I have been in your Skullgirls friends list. Which one am I? Okay, so I remember screenshotting this and I wrote down your name apparently. So I'm assuming you are Apple Dragon 170956. If that's not you, then I am shocked. Okay, next question. For Q&A, can we be friends? Random, I know, LOL. Yes, and you guys, if you want to be friends, you should all join my Discord. I'll leave it in the comments. Although I feel like a lot of you are already in it. Next question. Do you think it would be fun if they added a new gameplay mode, or a new game mode besides Parallel Realms, prize fights, story mode, rift battles, and verses? Okay, I think it would be fun because it would be a new thing to try, and that's always fun to do, but I don't know how fun it would be because that would also mean more grinding, and I feel like there's a lot of grinding to do in this game as is, but at the same time, a new mode would be welcome. So I guess yes? I'm not even sure if this counts as a new mode, but aren't they still working on guild stuff? I don't know how I feel about that. I'm honestly scared to make a guild if I end up making a guild, because I feel like that's a lot of pressure, and I don't want to say I've had bad experiences with guild in the past, but I have a tendency to get stressed out when it comes to guild stuff, so we'll see how that goes. Next question. Any advice for Shadow Puppet Fuqua and Skullgirls Mobile? Okay, so I don't have Shadow Puppet, so I feel like I can't really speak on her too much, but I looked at her signature abilities, and I think she has an ability that makes it so her buffs can be resets or something like that. I'm gonna see what I wrote down. Yes, that's what it says. Okay, so because of that, I think it would be wise to give her characters, or to pair her up with characters that can give her buffs on the sidelines, or even just buffs from tagging in or whatever, so that way she can hold on to those buffs, hopefully throughout the battle. And also, if you're gonna go that route, I would also recommend giving her high hit count moves. And I think Fuqua and Philia both, well, I don't know why I mentioned Philia, but Fuqua has a lot of high hitting moves, so I definitely recommend doing that. Alright, what other water element characters would you recommend evolving to Diamond from water element besides Biting Cold, Corrosive Agent, and Silent Kill? This is kind of hard to answer because I feel like water characters tend to be defensive more than anything. So like Megalomaniac Okay, well, Megalomaniac's a diamond character, but whatever, she's still a water element. So Megalomaniac, Curl Scout. Oh, well, there you go. I would recommend Curl Scout for sure. I don't know why I didn't write her. Oh, no, I did write her. Here's who I recommend, even though I think most water characters are defensive. I think Curl Scout would be a good choice. Like, even though she is mainly a defensive character, she's still a good defensive character, so I feel like she would be good. Plus, I feel like theoretically you could take advantage of her signature ability and use her offensively, maybe? So that's a thing you could try. I would also recommend Materia Girl. I don't have Materia Girl, and I've never even used Curl Scout, so I don't know how much I can speak on her. But Materia Girl's ability seems really good. Maybe Coldstone's Beowulf, since he has a pretty decent ability with the whole stunning thing. I feel really uncomfortable giving you guys advice sometimes, especially when it comes to characters that I don't have, so if anybody else has any recommendations, let me know. Okay, next question. What is your favorite Skullgirls mobile... Oh, whoa, okay. What is your favorite Skullgirls mobile variant in general? Mine is Moody Magus. Okay, well, I probably could have combined this with another question, but oh well. It's too late now. Starshine is my favorite variant. Alright, who are the top 3 most annoying variants to you, and how do you deal with them? Okay, so there are a lot of variants in this game that give me trouble for different reasons, some more than others. So this list I made is, I can't even say if it's 100% accurate. I feel like at this point Corrosive Agent is like my biggest issue, and if I have problems with anybody else, it's because of some stupid modifier like in Rift battles. So here is my list of characters that I find really annoying, just on their own without any modifiers to speak of. Okay, Corrosive Agent, obviously. How I've been dealing with Corrosive Agent for the longest while is using Psykid to inflict inverse polarity as soon as possible, and just trying not to activate any blockbusters on her while hopefully maintaining that inverse polarity. But I've also been using Mean One to turn Corrosive Agent's barrier. If I use a blockbuster on her and she gets barrier, turn that into debuffs, or turn those into debuffs. And also if she has no time to die, which 99% of the time she does have, I usually am able to turn those stacks of regen into debuffs as well. And finally, the last character that I've just been recently getting into is Nonsense. Nonsense can inflict so many debuffs onto Corrosive Agent, it's not even funny. Next character. So this is somebody I haven't seen in a while, I feel like, but I used to run into her all the time. When I do run into her though, sometimes she can be a huge pain to deal with, and that character is Splitting Image. So Splitting Image I didn't even talk about what Corrosive Agent can do, but I feel like you all know what Corrosive Agent is capable of. Okay, so Splitting Image, the reason she's so annoying is because she can give herself permanent immunity, and she can also give herself this semi-permanent regen. I don't even know if you'd call it permanent, but the fact that she can just heal, it's annoying. So how I deal with her, the only way that I've really dealt with her recently, aside from just out-damaging her with Starshine, is I've been using Psykid to inflict inverse polarity as soon as possible, like at the beginning of the fight, so that way Splitting Image doesn't get immunity, because Splitting Image only gets immunity when her health is lower than the opponent's. So once I'm able to get inverse polarity on her, that hopefully I can just maintain inverse polarity for as long as possible. So once I do lower Splitting Image's HP and she gets immunity, and she also gets that like regen thing that her signature ability gives her, then her health will go down instead of going up because of inverse polarity. I hope that made sense, because I feel like I explained that weird. Okay, the last annoying variant that I'm going to talk about is Evergreen Evil. So Evergreen Evil has a signature ability that makes it so whenever she's hit by an attack, she has a chance to gain regen, thorns, and remove all of her debuffs. Although it requires a specific condition, and it's also a lower chance. Somebody told me this, I didn't even realize this, but apparently it only works. It has something to do with elemental advantage and disadvantage. I forget what it is, but either way, that ability is so annoying. And not only is that ability annoying, it's the fact that Double has a marquee ability that can give her just a random buff every 10 seconds or something. I forget. Again, I don't even remember all the details, but that's the most annoying part of it all. And Evergreen Evil isn't that bad, but she's mainly a huge pain to deal with in Parallel Realms where her stats are just amplified. Okay, so as for how I deal with her, I like to use Psykid in order to get inverse polarity on her. Well, okay, wait, no, why did I say that? Okay, as for how to deal with her, I like to use Psykid to get Deadeye at the start of the fight, so even if Evergreen Evil is able to get Thorns, I don't have to worry about taking damage from Thorns because I have Deadeye. Along with that, I also like to use Mean One. Mean One has an elemental advantage against Evergreen Evil, so she's able to do more damage. Plus, if she does activate Evergreen Evil's signature ability, she can hopefully turn those buffs against Evergreen Evil. Another character, and also, by the way, I haven't mentioned this, but Mean One also gets enraged every time the enemy gets a buff, I believe, so it also helps with her damage. Finally, I like to also, I don't know why I said finally, I didn't write her down. Okay, another character I like to use against Evergreen Evil is Indomitable Parasol, because she can give herself Deadeye, and because she can steal buffs, so that's extra good against Evergreen Evil. But for the last two characters, I like to use Windswept or Starshine, since they can both give themselves permanent precision. And if you have permanent precision, then you don't have to worry about Evergreen Evil's signature ability. Alright, next question, or questions I should say. Do you have a least favorite character in story mode? And if so, which one? And what would you say is your least favorite, or what did you say? Okay, what would you say is your favorite childhood cartoon? Okay, my least favorite character in story mode, I don't have any characters in this game that I dislike or hate, like from their personalities or designs or anything like that. I either really like you, or I'm just kind of neutral on you. There's nobody that I'm just like, I hate you or something. But I guess if I had to pick a character, I'd say Eliza, because in her story mode, she pretty much gets everything she wants, and she doesn't get any kind of comeuppance until the end, sort of, and even then, and ends on a cliffhanger. And in fact, it's not even really comeuppance, it's just like, oh my gosh, somebody please stop her. So I guess I'll just say Eliza. I don't like when villains just are able to get away with everything. But with that being said, it's also really satisfying when a villain who is so arrogant finally gets their comeuppance, or like somebody finally gets the upper hand on them, and it's just like, yes! But that never really happens in Eliza's story mode. And my favorite childhood cartoon, this one's kind of hard because I used to watch a lot of cartoons as a child. I'm just going to go ahead and say SpongeBob, because I used to love SpongeBob so much, and honestly, rewatching those episodes is just a lot of fun. Like, specifically, I feel bad for saying this, but I agree with people when they say like the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob are the best ones. The reason I feel bad is because it's like, there are episodes in other seasons that I actually like, but those first 3 seasons are just so good, especially season 3. That is my favorite season. So yeah, I'll just say SpongeBob. Alright, next questions. How long have you been playing Skullgirls, and when did you start playing Skullgirls, and when was the first gold/dia you ever got? Okay, so this question is kind of hard to answer, because I don't actually remember how long I've been playing Skullgirls. When it comes to regular Skullgirls, I really have no idea. I definitely played it before Skullgirls Mobile was a thing, and when it comes to Skullgirls Mobile, I started playing as soon as the game was released, but I didn't play it for that long before I stopped playing, and I ended up having to make a new account at some point, so I don't know how long my current account has been active, but I did play it when it first came out. And as for my first gold/diamond, I want to say my first diamond was either Freeze Frame or Star Spangled Cerebella. I don't know. It was one or the other. If it was Freeze Frame, that's insane because she's a shiny character. So, well, mine is. So that would be nuts. But I honestly think it was her. But it also, like I said, might have been Star Spangled. And for gold, I honestly have no idea. Next question. How many shinies do you have, and how did you gain so much Theonite? Okay, for the Theonite, well, okay, now let's start with the first question. I have 10 shinies, and okay, that's that question. Okay, so from the Theonite, or with the Theonite question, I mainly just get it from doing my dailies, from doing prize fights, all of the prize fights, by the way, although not all of them give Theonite, but still, and just overall playing the game for a long time. Oh, and I get Theonite from the Backstage Pass because I make sure to complete that every single month. But yeah, that's it. I'm actually going to make a video talking about all of this, by the way. I just still have to work on it, but yeah, keep an eye out for that. Alright, what is your favorite blockbuster or special move for your favorite characters? Okay, so I also made a list for this. Okay, so when it comes to Annie, my favorite special moves are Destruction Pillar. Oh, I only listed one special move. Okay, whatever. Destruction Pillar is my favorite Annie move because when you get a critical hit with it, it does an extra 5% or something of the enemy's health. That might be over-exaggerating it, but it does a lot of extra damage, and it is so good because it hits so hard, and I love that move. And it works especially well with Starshine. For blockbusters, Annie has 2 that I really like, to be honest. I only listed 1. Sagan Beam, because it hits a lot, which is handy for some specific characters, but I like it mainly because it can heal. And my other move is Photobop, because it can transfer debuffs onto the enemy, which is really helpful against characters like Unholy Host or something. Plus, I like that it helps you start a whole new combo. It's just so good. Okay, next character, I put Psykid. For some reason, I put Psykid and not Umbrella. Oh yeah, I put Psykid because these moves, I was thinking of Psykid when I wrote them down. So there you go. Okay, for special move, I really like Salt Grinder. I really like it just because it's a fun move to use, and it helps with restarting combos and stuff. And for Blockbuster, I really like Tongue Twister because healing slime, it inflicts slime and you heal yourself, and wall bounce. So when it comes to Psykid, it's really helpful with resetting debuffs and resetting her buffs. And the final character on this list is Dark Horse. So for special move, for special moves, oh no, I only put one. I was gonna say I thought I put two. Well, okay, her first special move, or the only special move that I put on here, was Hilgard's Haymaker. I really like Hilgard's Haymaker because it's a projectile attack, so it kind of gives me an opportunity to charge up her mortuary charge. I forgot how you pronounce that word. So in Parallel Realms specifically, I find it helpful in order to destroy the dead bodies when I'm trying to get rid of the corpses. So I like that. Oh, and it also inflicts Quietus, which is a very helpful debuff against umbrellas and other characters that can give themselves final stand. On top of that, it kind of goes hand in hand with Carpal Pummel, my favorite Marie blockbuster. So Carpal Pummel does so much damage, it charges up extremely quickly, and it can become unblockable when you use it against somebody that has Quietus on them. So I love that move so much. Plus it can stun. It is just, oh, it's so good. Who do you think would be the most petty in Skullgirls? Okay, I can't speak on any of the non-playable characters because I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and say Eliza. I haven't played Black Dahlia story mode, so maybe she can top her on this. But in Eliza's story mode, she turns Squiggly into an alarm clock for the Skullgirl. So, next question. What is the main purpose you started posting on YouTube? Just for funsies, perchance? So, pretty much. Okay, let's go way back to my first YouTube channel I ever made. So I made that YouTube channel, and back then I really loved watching Let's Plays. I still like watching Let's Plays, but like I haven't watched any new ones. I pretty much just have been rewatching the same old ones that I've rewatched in the past. But yeah, I wanted to make Let's Plays on that channel, and I never really did it, but eventually I did make a YouTube channel where I did make Let's Plays, but I had a lot of trouble following through with actually finishing them. It's why I have so many uncompleted Let's Plays. So yeah, basically whenever I watch somebody and they have a type of video that I like to do, I don't want to say that I copy them, but I try to do my own type of video like that. So first it started with Let's Plays. At one point I wanted to do vlogs because I was like into vlogs. And then at another point I wanted to do cartoon reviews because I was watching this one channel who would talk about episodes of My Little Pony, and they would do these like little short reviews just talking about the episode. Nothing like too in-depth, like no huge analysis or anything like that, just like fun little videos talking about an episode. And I wanted to do that too, so I started doing that. And then at another point I'm currently subscribed to a channel that does like book reviews and stuff. So then I was like, I kind of want to do manga reviews. So then I started doing that. And I honestly, if I was to get back to any of those types of videos, I think I would go back to manga reviews before anything else. Maybe Let's Plays too. But if I did do any of that stuff, I don't think I would upload it onto this channel. At least none of the new stuff. I'm currently uploading old videos, but yeah. So basically, yes, for fun. But I guess the main reason I've been sticking it out with Skullgirls for as long as I have is because it's not that hard to make these types of videos. Well, okay, it's not that hard to make gameplay types of videos, at least the ones that I've been posting. And also, you guys respond the best to this. Like, I like having discussions with you guys and reading all your comments, so that's one big reason that I've stuck it out with Skullgirls for so long. And next question. In Thanksgiving, will you be giving or thanking? I read that backwards. Thanking, because I'm not good at cooking. All right, what was the highest score / rank you've ever gotten in a prize fight or rift? Okay, so score-wise, I've never really gotten past 150 million. Once I reach 150 million in the monthly prize fight, I just call it quits. If I get any more points, it's gonna be from my defense just fighting other people, and that's it. So that is for score. When it comes to rank, I think the highest I've ever gotten, during a Medici prize fight, I got like rank 100, I think. That's the highest I've ever gotten. And honestly, I only did that because I was trying to get footage of Girl Scouts for my Girl Scout video, so yeah. Oh, but when it comes to Rift, I actually don't know. I feel like I've gotten to 1500 points before, but I think you need more than that to get a higher tier in the diamond rank, so... And I could be wrong about even getting 1500 points. Okay, last question, and assuming I don't get any more questions after this. Alright, For Q&A, any advice for dealing with Megalomaniac and Model Leader? Okay, I didn't even write an answer for this, so this is just going off the top of my head. Okay, if you're fighting Megalomaniac, you're gonna want to have her out first because her ability only activates if she gets 3 stacks of armor. So, okay, the thing about Megalomaniac is she can inflict stun on you, and she can also gain evasion. Her stun only works when she has at least 3 stacks of armor, and her stacks of armor are removed every time you use a blockbuster. So if you have her out first, then she hopefully won't be able to get stacks of armor because she gets stacks of armor whenever her or her teammates lose health. So yeah, try to get her out first using a tag out move or outtake or whatever you want to call it. And if you have somebody that can give themselves immunity, that would also be really helpful because that way you wouldn't have to worry about her stuns if you were able to just have immunity. So that is what I would recommend for Megalomaniac. Okay, for Model Leader, pretty much my strategy for her is to just use somebody that can give themselves Deadeye. That way you don't have to worry about auto block because Deadeye ignores auto block. And if you don't have a way to give yourself Deadeye, then you could also try to use somebody like Beowulf and just spam throws over and over and over again. So yeah, basically Deadeye and throws. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you all for asking so many questions. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you'd be interested in seeing something like this again, because I'm definitely down to record another one of these, although I apologize once again for taking so long to actually get this done. So I appreciate you guys for being patient, and I appreciate you guys for watching, and I love you guys so much. Thank you once again, and like I said, let me know if you'd be interested in seeing me do this again. Maybe I'll do this again in the future at some point. I don't know. But anyways, thank you guys, and goodbye.